Welcome back to my channel. We have talked a lot about whole grains on this channel, and I've shared many videos that highlight how to mill your own grains into flour. Eating whole grains is important because they are usually the most nutrient dense form of a grain. Well, today I'll be sharing about another important staple, that is rice. In these containers I have about a cup each of wild rice, brown rice, and basmati rice. Before we go any further, let's talk about where rice comes from. Rice is grown all over the world, especially in warm, wet regions. Major producers include countries like India, China, Thailand, Vietnam, and the United States, particularly in states like Arkansas, California, Louisiana, and Texas. Rice grows in flooded fields called paddies, which help control weeds and support the plant as it matures. There is also something important to be aware of when it comes to rice and health. Rice can naturally absorb substances from the soil and water it's grown in, including arsenic, which is a naturally occurring element. In higher amounts over time, arsenic exposure has been linked to health concerns, which is why it's something we want to be mindful of, not fearful of, just informed. The good news is there are simple ways to reduce your exposure. Rinse your rice well before cooking. Cook it in extra water sometimes will help, similar to how you do pasta, and drain the excess. Vary the types of grains you eat instead of relying on one rice variety all the time, and eat rice that's grown in different regions so that you can keep that variety. So, rice can absolutely be part of a healthy diet just with a little awareness and balance, like most foods. But I have said all that because did you know that one of these isn't even actually rice? And one has way more nutrients than the others. Let's take a closer look at these varieties today so that you can make an informed decision in your kitchen. So, let's start with the one that surprises most people. Wild rice. Wild rice isn't actually rice. It's a grass seed. It's long, dark, and has a chewy texture with a rich, nutty flavor. Wild rice is the most nutrient dense of the three. It's higher in protein than most grains and rich in fiber, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, and antioxidants. It's also the least processed because it's usually harvested, dried, and packaged. Here's a closer look once more of the wild rice. To cook wild rice, use about 1 cup of rice to 3 cups of water or broth. Bring it to a boil, then simmer for about 45 to 60 minutes until the grains split open and become tender. Your pro tip here that I've shared in my previous video is to soak the washed rice over several hours or even overnight, because that will cut down your cooking time. Next, we have a familiar staple that still holds on to a lot of its goodness. Long grain brown rice. Brown rice is a whole grain, which means it still has its bran and germ layers. That should sound familiar since we've been talking about whole grains on this channel for such a long time. We know that whole grains like hard white wheat and soft white wheat are great sources of a lot of nutrients because the bran, the germ, and the endosperm are still intact when we turn it into flour. Brown rice is very similar. It gets its brown color and its slightly nutty flavor because it still has the bran and the germ layers attached to the endosperm layer. It's a great source of fiber and provides important nutrients like manganese, selenium, magnesium, and B vitamins. Brown rice is less processed than white rice because only the outer husk is removed, so more nutrients stay intact. To cook brown rice, use about 1 cup of rice to about 2 cups of water. Bring that to a boil, then cover and simmer for about 40 to 45 minutes until it's tender. So another pro tip I will throw in here is you can cut down the cooking time for brown rice by soaking it over several hours, if not overnight. Once you've soaked your rice, whether it's the wild rice or the brown rice, you're going to wash it one more time before you cook it. And finally, the one known for its light texture and beautiful aroma, Basmati rice. Basmati rice is a long grain white rice famous for its fluffy texture and fragrant smell. Because it's been milled to remove the bran and the germ, it has less fiber and fewer nutrients than brown or wild rice. However, it still provides carbohydrates for energy and small amounts of B vitamins, especially if it's been enriched. This makes Basmati rice the most processed of the 3 rice that we have here. To cook Basmati rice, rinse it first to remove any excess starch. Then use about 1 cup of rice to about 1.5 cups of water. Bring it to a boil, cover and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes until light and fluffy. So on a busy night, when you have lots of things already going on, you're more than likely going to pull for a white rice variety. You can have it cooked and ready to go in 20 minutes or less. You don't have to worry about soaking it overnight, but do understand that you're giving your family less nutrients in this case. If you have the foresight to think ahead, maybe the night before or even early that morning, you can choose one of these options, whether it's wild rice or brown rice, and you can wash and soak it over several hours so that when it does come to dinner time, you can put together a more nutrient-dense meal with one of these options. So here's the quick breakdown. Wild rice is the least processed and the most nutrient dense. Brown rice is a whole grain with a great balance of nutrition and versatility. And Basmati rice is the most processed but cooks the fastest and has the light, fluffy texture that we've all come to know and love. Each one has its place. It just depends on what you're cooking and what your body needs. Tell me in the comment, which one do you use the most? So today I'm going to be showing you how to make both brown rice and fluffy white rice. Earlier this morning, while I was doing my prep for the day, I got enough brown rice ready for the day. It has been soaking this whole time, and so what I'm going to do now is give it a final rinse and get it into a pot of boiling water. To that pot of boiling water, I will be adding some salt and butter to taste. Since this has been soaking for several hours, that will cut down on the cooking time needed to finish cooking this rice. So I'm just going to give it a final wash and get it into my pot. Next, I'm going to get some Basmati rice ready to go as well. I'm going to give it a good wash. This one has not been soaking. I just got it out of my pantry container and I'm just going to wash it. You'll see the more I wash it, the clearer the water will run. That's getting rid of all the excess starch. So the trick to making nice, clean, fluffy rice is by washing away most of the starch. You do not want to skip this step. And you want to wash it until your water runs clear. Alright, this looks good. I'm going to get this now into a pot of boiling water and I'll take you over to the stove to show you what's going on over there. Okay, here is the brown rice. I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of butter to the water. You can see the water is bubbling and I'm going to stir. I've also added a bit of salt and I'm just going to cover this down and allow it to do its thing. And so here is the white basmati rice. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of butter to this as well. Give that a stir. I've also added some salt. And then I'm just going to let this do its thing. So I'll check back in a little bit to show you the progress. So it has only been a few minutes and already we're being hit with that beautiful aroma from that basmati rice. Rice cooks well if it is steamed, so we don't need to have high heat underneath the rice, and we don't need high heat or medium heat for a long time. So right now most of the water has already been used up in the pot, so I'm going to turn this off right now. I'm going to cover it back over and allow it to sit on the same burner, because that residual heat will continue to steam the rice and will create that beautiful basmati rice that we love. The brown rice still needs a little bit more time. So here's a look at the brown rice. We're at the tail end. It's pretty much cooked all the way through, but if you look carefully you'll see that there's still a bit of liquid in the pot. At this point I can turn this off and drain it like you would pasta, or I could cover it down and let it continue to steam. I'm going to cover it and let it continue to steam for a little bit longer. And here is the basmati rice. It's fully cooked. I already turned off the heat on this one. It's nice, it's fluffy, exactly what you're looking for when you're making basmati rice. Alright guys, so our rice is done. Again, if you clicked on this thumbnail, you're here to learn how to make rice without a rice cooker and to have it come out beautiful every single time. On this side I have the basmati rice. As you can see, it's nice and flaky, and on this side I have some brown rice. I just wanted to get a side-by-side view to see the difference between the two rice varieties. And I've already shared on here before how I make the wild rice. So here's a look at a side-by-side of the two varieties I made today. I also wanted to share my plate for the day. So today I'm having some brown rice. I had some roasted chicken left over, and I'm putting that with a fresh salad. It's the springtime, so I pretty much have salad every single day. I love the fresh greens that are available to me now, and so I'm taking advantage of that. So I'm having a nice big helping of a fresh salad with some brown rice and my portion of the roasted chicken. So thanks for being here with me today. I hope you learned something about the different rice varieties so that you can make an informed decision in your kitchen. If you have any questions about anything that we went over today, feel free to leave a question down in the comment section. And if you don't have a question, feel free to just stop by and say hello. I love hearing from all of you. I will have links to everything I discussed today in the description box below. As a reminder, my new cookbook, Simply Fresh, is now available on Amazon. If you're interested in freshly milled flour and you need a cookbook with reliable recipes, feel free to check that out. All that information will be in the description box down below. Thank you for being here, thank you for being you, and all the best to you as always.